they still kind of go into panic mode. And parents definitely go into panic mode when they hear that word lockdown, and rightly so. So people have asked, why do you notify parents ahead of time? Well, one, it's the law, we have to. But two, we want you to know what's going on. We want you to know that it's not an emergency, that we are practicing safety. And so parents are notified usually the night before, maybe. We leave it up to the principal exactly when they notify, but that's something that we do ahead of time so that you know what's going on. Intruder. So the intruder, like Dr. Kraft said, this is really, really important. We're only required to do it once every 3 years. Well, we decided probably about a year ago or so, maybe 2 years ago, we decided that's just not enough. And even though we have 52 campuses, and it's a timely thing because you have to do one at a time, we coordinate with the principal. No one else on staff knows that this has happened. They don't know who the intruder is, what they look like. And we gauge, one, we have the intruder look for vulnerabilities. We've been able to get in at times. We found in the past doors that were maybe propped open. That's something that we have hit hard, and so there's no questions, there's no warnings. If someone's found propping a door open, that's a really serious situation. We can't play with that. Like Dr. Kraft said, we put peepholes in certain doors now, especially in our cafeteria doors. So that cafeteria, that's always kind of been a vulnerable place. When someone goes, just like when you see on TV where somebody's robbed at the Taco Bell and they're going out to the garbage can, well, because that's a vulnerability and that door is open. So we have that peephole that they can see, one, when they go out, and then that door is shut, and then when they come back, the other staff has to let them in, but that door can't be propped and it has to be locked behind them, and that's just another safety measure. That intruder testing, we like when they get in. I don't know that the principals do. I like it because, one, doors open sometimes. People come and go. I want to see, like the boss said, how long does it take them to notice that somebody is on their campus? One, it needs to be quick. People don't like that interaction. They don't like that uneasiness of, excuse me, I don't know you, can you show me your ID? It's human nature. So we are training and training and training on that. So after someone gets in, the intruder, we like to see them, and at times they're on them like very quickly, they're on them. And they escort them to the front. That's a success. It's even more a success that they can't get in, obviously. But we do like to see that the staff reacts and they don't just see somebody they don't know and they walk on by their business. That's human nature. So we're trying to train and get that out of them.
So one of the things that I think was a success for this and doing this kind of testing is, if you remember a couple months ago at Ellison, there was a parent that tried to get in through the student entrance. Because of the staff being aware and seeing them come to the campus, they alerted the officer. The officer met them there as they were trying to get into the building. And if you've seen the video, you saw what happened after that. So we were able to take care of that threat right away. So it does work to have this testing and to train our staff and for them to be aware.
And the last part of that is a safety audit. We do very extensive auditing of our campuses. So we meet with, prior to coming out, we send out surveys to the staff, to the students. We gauge we want to know, do they feel safe? Because if a student doesn't feel safe, or if a staff member doesn't feel safe, then the educational process is limited. Especially a student, they don't feel safe, they're not going to learn, and there's enough going on in their lives right now to keep the learning process not 100%, so we don't want to add to that. So we want everyone to feel safe, and that's one of the things, if they don't, we want to know why, we want to correct that. So we audit every campus. It's a very thorough look. It goes from a walkthrough, we check doors, we check and make sure that classroom doors are locked, outside doors are locked. That's when we do the intruder testing as well. And so that's just part of the process. We also check their, each campus has a crisis kit. They have crisis books. They have a crisis plan. We make sure that those are all up to date. Make sure they have all the equipment that they need in case there's a crisis. We check for the stop the bleed kits. We make sure they know where their cutoffs are. So let's say that there's a fire. Well, they need to know where to cut off the gas or cut off the electricity. So we go over those kind of things. We check for hidden locations on their campus. Some of these campuses are all built in the 40s and 50s. Not too many of them left. A lot of our schools are newer, but we've found, maybe a electrical box that has a hole in it where somebody could hide. So we check all those. We make sure they're locked. We check the roof. We check that ladder that goes up to the roof. Make sure it's locked. Just thinking out of the box. Anything that could be a safety hazard, we check that. We check their electrical. Like I say, their gas. We check. We get with our facilities people, our fire marshals. We make sure that they're in compliance on all those as well. So very extensive. So right now, this was implemented by the governor's office. It's a summer safety audit. It's a partial audit, but each campus right now is doing an audit. It's kind of a miniature from the one that we do, but it's still pretty extensive. So they're having to do that. They're answering all the questions. They're checking all their some of the things that we said, locations and their gas and their electric and their fire. Make sure that their fire protocols are being followed, so that when school starts here in the next month, they're ready to go. And they're also doing door checks. The Uvalde situation, obviously, doors were a big situation there. We all know what happened, more or less. We know that a very bad person got in through a door and then went in through some other doors and did some really bad things. We are requiring our safety AP. So every campus has a safety AP as an assistant principal. So they're in charge of the safety for that particular campus. They've been charged with checking every one of their doors that lead to the outside. They're logging the type of door, the condition of the door, the working mechanism, and numbering those doors. And then once a week, they're going to be checking those doors, and they have to report to my office that they've checked those. And so that's something that the district will do probably monthly. It's the TEA and the School Safety Center, they're working on the reporting, but probably on a monthly we're going to have to show that our doors have all been checked, they're all in working order, and that staff is trained on the use of those doors. So safety and security, I want to talk about that real quick. So we are part of the community, and as Dr. Kraft said, we have to have assistance from the community. We can sit here between ourselves, KISD, and come up with ideas that we think are good ideas. But when we bring those ideas outside of KISD and we look for input from our partners, from the county, from our emergency management folks, from our city police departments, KPD, Parker Heights PD, Nolanville PD. We work very closely with Fort Hood. I'm really proud of what we're doing with Fort Hood right now. Fort Hood, soldiers come and go, so it's ever changing. So we're in a spot right now with some new leadership there, and we jumped right in with them, and so we're coordinating a lot of safety measures and trainings and such out there. We have 8 schools out there on post. But this committee meeting, we meet once a semester. We meet once in the summer. Our school board members and president are also involved. Dr. Kraft's heavily involved. Megan Bradley's heavily involved. And so we coordinate, we put our heads together, we come up with new ideas, and we have parents that come, We have teachers, we have assistant principals, and so we put on our thinking hats, we run ideas by them, and as the committee effort, we come up with ideas, and we've made some good changes just from those implementing from some of those ideas that we've exchanged. Go ahead, Diane. So, bully and threat reporter. A lot of parents utilize this. A lot of students utilize this. We have a website. It's KISDissafe.com. You would think it's .org because we use .org, but it's a .com. So KISDissafe.com. It takes you right to a link that anyone can use. It can be anonymous. It cannot be anonymous. Depends on what you want. It's used quite often for bullying and for threats. I see every one of those that come through. Our leadership sees every one of those that come through. It's a great way, and I tell parents when they have a complaint, I tell them to use that because what it does, sometimes they feel like, well, no one's listening to me, or I reported it at the campus, and I don't feel like I got 100% effort. And I tell them to use that because, one, the AP or the principal that conducts an investigation or handles a situation, they have to put in writing what they did to solve that situation, to rectify it. And then I have to approve it, and so the standards are pretty high. We have to make sure, or Chief Disher or someone else that depends on the situation, we look at it and we make sure that it was handled. A lot of times we call the parent or the student, not necessarily the student, we'll go through the parent for the student, but we want to make sure that it's rectified and they feel comfortable that the situation was addressed. That's a great way because it leaves a paper trail, and it's also for threats, so the anonymous part of that's really good. Sometimes some people just don't want to get involved, or they don't want anyone to know that they've reported something, so they can report things anonymously. And it can be, there's a child I saw, and he's paying a little bit of attention to weapons. He's withdrawn, or she's withdrawn, or he or she's making these comments. I saw online where they're saying things that are disheartening or concerning. We'll get those kind of reports. They haven't broken the law, but it's something that we can then look at, and we can make sure whether they need counseling, they need law enforcement, they need what exactly they need. So we work very closely with the campus staff, our counselors, and to address that situation. And like I said, it can be anonymous if the parent or the reporting person wants to, or I like it when they leave their information because a lot of times there's further follow-up questions, and we want to make sure that their concerns are addressed. We're also part of the Crime Stoppers. Bell County has a Crime Stoppers program, and it uses a technology, it's called P3, which what that is basically a way that a person that reports something, again, it doesn't have to be a crime, it's called Crime Stoppers, but it can be bullying, it can be a crime, it can be a concern. It's just another tool that we have. That one's really neat because it offers two-way communication, so we can actually, even an anonymous person report something, we can hit a button and it'll go back to them, whether they send it from their computer, from their email, however they send it from their phone, and we can ask for their follow-up questions. The Clean Police Department is very involved in that, and they run that program. It's manned 24 hours a day, and so 3 in the morning, somebody reports something, there's a live person taking that information. We get a text, we get an email, and it enables us to take care of a situation promptly, responsibly, and thoroughly.
If it's immediate threat, then they'll call me directly. So if it happens at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's an immediate threat that we need to address. They call me right away so that we can respond and not wait until the next day. So that works really well for us with Crime Stoppers. And with the kids, it's got the QR code. They can just scan it with their phone and then make a report later on. So one of the things I know that we want to talk about too is mental health. And Dr. Creighton's going to come up and talk some about that. And because mental health is a concern in all the situations that we talk about, and trying to make sure that the kids get what they need there.